What's up guys, my name is Ace, and today we got a massive blog post from Call of Duty that just gives us a good outline of what to expect between now and launch for Modern Warfare 2, as well as a bunch of new information regarding many aspects of the game. So in today's video, I want to do sort of a recap of this, talking about at least what I feel are the more important details when it comes to this. I'm not going to cover every little detail that's in this blog post, so that will be linked down below if you want to check that out. I'm mainly just going to be covering the highlights here. And starting this off, let's talk about preloading the game. It turns out we can preload for campaign early access if you digitally pre-ordered the game. We can preload this starting tomorrow, actually, October 19th at 10 a.m. Pacific time on all platforms. Then the day after that, October 20th at 10 a.m. Pacific time, this is when early access begins, which allows us to play the campaign early, again, for those that have digitally pre-ordered the game. And then when it comes to the full game, which launches on October 28th, for Xbox players, they can start preloading this October 19th at 10 a.m., so tomorrow, which is pretty interesting. For PlayStation, we can preload this on October 20th at 4 a.m. Pacific time, and that'll be a regional rollout. And then finally, for PC on both Steam and Battle.net, they're going to be keeping this under wraps until October 26th at 10 a.m. Pacific time. Presumably that's coming much later due to the fact that people can data mine that, and as soon as they give the ability to start preloading on PC, that's when the leaks are going to be coming out like crazy. As for the full release of the game, this is when they turn everything on for anybody that has the game digitally downloaded. This is actually going to release at 9 o'clock p.m. Pacific time on October 27th, so the day before the actual launch technically, but that will mean we have a midnight release for Eastern time, and then you guys can easily do the math or just look at this map for your particular time zone. As for the timeline after the game launches, from October 28th to 15th, this is the preseason, so we're not going to be in a season, no battle pass, nothing like that. Then on November 16th, Season 1 starts, and this is also going to be the launch of Warzone 2, as well as DMZ. And then we just got updated information here. On December 14th, Season 1 Reloaded will start, so this is the mid-season update for Season 1. And the big highlights with this are, first up, raids are going to be launching, which we still don't have a lot of detail on. I'm definitely curious to hear more about raids. But on top of that, for this Reloaded update, we're going to be seeing what they call a legendary multiplayer map. So some kind of a remade map is going to be coming back. Perhaps this is going to be the release of like Shipment or Shoot House or something if those don't come at launch. They haven't given us any details aside from the fact that it's a legendary multiplayer map. So there we go, that's our timeline when it comes to preloading, launch, as well as some post-launch stuff. Now let's get into some more details here. One interesting detail they pointed out is there's going to be 12 unique modes day one for the multiplayer side of things. There will be 10 traditional modes for core maps, which is the standard 6v6 experience, and then there will be 2 ground war modes for battle maps. Presumably it'll be the standard ground war and invasion, just like we saw in the beta. Now, unfortunately, something I was really hoping to gain from this blog post was the number of maps that we would have for each of these modes, like the number of 6v6 maps and then a number of ground war maps, but they didn't officially confirm that yet in this blog post. However, with this one image here, they did mention that this is a multiplayer map within Al Mazrah, which is called Al Bagra Fortress. And it just so happens that when I was playing Warzone 2 at Call of Duty Next, I managed to visit this fortress really briefly, so you can see a little bit of what this multiplayer map is going to look like. Now on top of this, we have some very interesting information they pointed out here, and that is with all of their multiplayer maps for both Ground War and 6v6, they're going to be grouped into 3 regional categories. The first regional category is Al Mazrah, which is the map that we're getting with Warzone 2 at launch. And throughout the beta, we've already played on some ground war maps that are part of Al Mazrah, but it's also worth mentioning there will be 6v6 maps included in there as well. On top of that, we have Las Almas, which apparently has a similar footprint to Al Mazrah. And to me, that really seems like they've got this map ready to go for a secondary Warzone map. And therefore, we may end up seeing 2 maps in rotation for Warzone 2, maybe not at launch, but perhaps sometime down the road, or they may end up just switching over to Las Almas at some point. But with this, we did have access to the market area on Las Almas with the multiplayer map in the beta. But finally, for the third regional grouping, this is just the rest of the world, so it's not like a third Warzone map. This is just going to be maps that take place in a wide variety of regions around the world. As for the next section in this blog post, let's talk about Spec Ops. Now, Spec Ops is going to be an evolution of Spec Ops from Modern Warfare 2019. I really hope so, because that mode had a lot of issues. But at launch, we're going to have access to 3 Spec Ops missions, and all of them will be taking place in Al Mazrah. The first one is called Bad Situation, and you have to infiltrate a town in the dead of night to uncover intel and evidence left behind Al-Qatala before exfiltrating. Stealth is key to survival. The next one is vehicle escape, where there's multiple SAM turrets preventing reinforcements from entering Al Mazrah, and with the help of a vehicle, navigate through the winding streets of a suburb to destroy them, then speed over to an exfil plane to escape. And then finally, we have observatory defense, and the description with this one says, a love letter to fans of survival modes. Defend the observatory from increasingly difficult waves of enemies attempting to detonate bombs, and between each wave, operators can spend cash to get items such as kill streaks, self-revive kits, and armor plates. So that sounds really interesting. It looks like there's going to be a good amount of gameplay variety when it comes to these Spec Ops missions, and I'm very interested in checking it out. I just hope the core gameplay mechanics play really well. I hope we don't have like extreme levels of flinch, for instance, as well as not enough ammo to deal with infinite waves of respawning enemies. Now, additionally with Spec Ops, they highlighted 3 kits that you're going to have access to. There's going to be the Assault Kit, the Medic Kit, as well as the Engineer Kit, and each of these will have their own unique characteristics and pieces of gear attached to them. It's also worth noting that with these kits, you can actually level them up by earning stars in missions, and that's pretty cool. I like a good amount of progression. I like having something to work toward while I'm doing this, and that sounds great to me. And speaking of progression, let's move on to the general progression that they've laid out for us so far, keeping in mind they mentioned that there's going to be a full breakdown of progression systems in a dedicated blog post within the game's release window, so presumably sometime next week. But starting this off, the first thing that caught my eye is they mentioned a new battle pass system and seasonal prestige. And that right there just crushed a whole lot of hopes and dreams in the community, I'm sure, with people that don't like seasonal prestige systems. I'm one of those people. I think the past 3 years of Call of Duty have been horrible when it comes to player progression with these seasonal prestiges and your seasonal ranking just getting reset every season. Although at the same time, they did mention it's a new seasonal prestige system, so perhaps it'll at least be an improvement over the past 3 years, but I'm not going to hold my breath on that, just like I'm also not going to jump on the hate train until we actually see how this is laid out for ourselves. I will say though, I'm quite skeptical after seeing this, and I'm definitely concerned about this seasonal prestige system. As for the rest of the progression, it looks like it's going to be pretty standard, basically the same as Modern Warfare 2019. Our military ranks, where we unlock all of our perks and weapons and everything and equipment, that's going to go from level 1 to 55. Then we have our weapon platforms. This is the one big new thing this year, where each weapon platform will have their own camos and mastery challenges and progression trees. Then we have the Spec Ops Kits, which I've already mentioned. We've got our base operator unlock challenges, same as Modern Warfare 2019, so in order to unlock operators, you may have to play campaign or Spec Ops or other modes just to get those base operators unlocked. Then we have those daily challenges that we can complete, as well as what they call additional challenges, which are career milestone challenges, such as winning matches in specific game modes. And these will give us XP and cosmetic rewards. So, doesn't look like anything too drastically different when it comes to progression this time around, compared to Modern Warfare 2019. Next, they showcase the 25 operators that are available at launch, and that's a good list of operators. And they actually went through the bios for each of those. I'm obviously not going to go through each of the bios in today's video, but I will show off the 2 different sides. You've been looking at the Spec Crew operators first, and then on the other side, we have the Cortac operators, and we can see them all laid out right here. Next, let's talk about weapons. We have a confirmed weapon count at launch now. There's going to be 33 unique weapon platforms available, and each of these platforms can contain up to 6 weapons, but not all of them will have multiple weapons. Some of the weapons will be one-off and not tied to a platform at all. But the total weapon count for primaries as well as secondaries at launch is going to be 51, which is very impressive. That's a great number of weapons at launch, and they even laid out how many of each category. There's going to be 10 assault rifles, 4 battle rifles, 7 SMGs, 6 LMGs, 4 shotguns, 6 marksman rifles, 3 sniper rifles, 1 riot shield, 5 sidearms, 4 launchers, and 1 melee weapon. And that all sounds great. That's a very robust weapon list at launch. I'm quite happy to see that. Although at the same time, I wasn't too concerned. I did expect there would be quite a few weapons at launch, especially with these new weapon trees. Now, finally with this blog post, there's one last thing I wanted to talk about, which is upcoming Twitch drops, where if you watch a streamer that's streaming Modern Warfare 2 that has drops enabled on their channel, which I do fall into that category, if you link your Activision ID to your Twitch account, and you watch a stream like mine between October 28th and November 6th, you will get these rewards right here. So a weapon blueprint, a sticker, a charm, a calling card, as well as an emblem. So if you want to earn those, link your Activision ID to your Twitch account, and I will leave a link to my Twitch channel down below. And with that, that pretty much covers it for the highlights of this big blog post that we got today. Definitely some exciting things in there, as well as a few things that I really want to see some more information on, specifically things like progression, as well as what's going on with these raids as well. I'm very curious to know what the raids are going to be like. But this is where I want to hear from you guys in those comments down below. What do you guys think of all this information? Is this getting you more excited for Modern Warfare 2, less excited, or you don't really care? Just let me know down below. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated. And don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.